Tell us your name and your relationship to me.
My name is Robert Earl Jones, and I'm Daryl's dad.
And what year were you born?
I was born in 1960.
Let's talk about the new Roxy for a second. What made the new Roxy unique to you?
Unique to me it was a playground. That's the uniqueness it was to me. It was like Sunday afternoons going to play as if you were playing at a neighborhood playground with your friends and stuff. That's what's the uniqueness for me.
What was your favorite movie at the new Roxy?
Oh, I had tons of favorite movies. My absolute favorite, it would have to be probably first thing to come to mind is Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee and Black Belt Jones. That was one of his character names.
Why this movie?
You know, it was the color. It was like just lots of color. It was exotic. It had minorities that had the lead roles, and it was just a lot of fun. It was a beautifully shot movie, I thought.
Did other or your classmates or other people that you knew, friends, also enjoy that movie?
Oh yeah, I mean, all my friends enjoyed that movie. I mean, it was something that we saw over and over again as many times as we could. We all loved it. A lot of action.
Was that your favorite? Was that your favorite style of movie growing up? Your favorite genre?
Yes, I would say action, but actually I would say horror too, because I used to like to watch a lot of vampire movies there with Chris. What was this Christopher? I can't remember the English actor name, but Plummer, I think his name was, and there was a lot of horror flicks that played at the New Roxy. I like to see those too, and there was a few sci-fi, and like all kids, at least I think young boys like Godzilla movies, and those played there also.
Why did you go to the new Roxy?
Well, it was the only movie theater that I knew of when I was a kid. I didn't know of another movie theater until maybe a few years later. I knew about the Paramount, but when I was a kid, it was just where we went. That's where we went. We went to the New Roxy, and it was just a lot of fun to go there.
How are you connected to the new Roxy?
I'm connected there through my family, through my father, through my brother. You know, my brother ran the projection. He was the projectionist at the New Roxy. Um, he would take me there and help him, and when he would view movies and before they would be screened on the weekends, and he would take me there and we would watch them. My dad actually had a job there as a janitor, and he would clean up the movie theater as you know, as one of his jobs and stuff, you know. And he would take my brothers, and they would clean up the movie theater when the movie theater was done, and over the weekends.
Were you doing any cleaning?
Nah, I was just there running around. I wasn't doing anything. No, I was just in the way.
Yeah. So how did you get away with that? You were just too young.
I was just too young. Yeah, I mean, what could I was just too young. That I would like. I remember one time one of my brothers found me a watch. It was a Zorro watch, and I kept that watch for a very long time. And so you know you would find things that people would lose and stuff like that. But no, I was in the way. No, I was no help.
It sounds like you kind of grew up a little bit in this movie theater. Would you agree with that? What did it feel like?
Oh, uh, I had a friend, and every Sunday afternoon, you know, it didn't make any difference what was playing at the theater at the time. It could be a western, it could be horror, it could be a drama, it could be science fiction, it could be anything. But it was the place where we went to have fun. We wouldn't even actually watch the movie. They always show double features too. So we wouldn't actually watch the movie when we first got there. We were kids. We were running around doing kid things and stuff, and we wouldn't until after we got all that energy out of us. Then we would settle down. Then we would watch the movie. So you could spend all afternoon there, sort of like our amusement park.
How do you think your viewing experience at the new Roxy was different from like white people's movie viewing experience at the time?
Well, I not being white, I can really make the comparison, but I would say I would think that my experience was that it was everybody there was black. I never saw anybody else there, any other color except for blacks. Whether people of different color came, I don't know. But for me, it was like a family kind of like experience. And then you had all your friends, and you had your friends from school, and we went there, and it was just from the concessions to the type of movies that they played. It was just an experience. It was an ultimate experience for someone who didn't have a lot to do. You know, I mean, you went to school, you came home, you played with your friends and stuff. But outside of that if you said you wanted to do something special, then you were going to go to the movies that weekend.
What was your favorite memory of the new Roxy?
My favorite memory is when I would go with my brother, and he would get the new movies for that weekend, and he would screen them. And we would do that like on a Thursday. I can remember that. It would happen like they would get delivered like in the middle of the day, and he would go and pick them up, and that afternoon he would screen them. And he would send me across the street, get a hamburger, hot dog for us and something to drink. And we would just sit there. It would just be us in the movie theater, just alone. And that was my fondest memory of going there.
What did you discover about yourself at the new Roxy?
I discovered Pam Grier at the new Roxy. Yeah, I fell in love with Pam Grier at the new Roxy Theater. Yep, she was like the first black woman that I saw that was a representation of beauty, you know. And at that time we watched television. There was not a lot of black women, black men on television. But when you went to the movie theater, you saw Pam Grier and other beautiful black women, and that was like something spectacular.
So seeing these images on screen had an influence on you?
Oh, yeah, I mean, when you see somebody else like yourself, when you see black men in strong masculine roles, you know, it makes you think that you can be strong and masculine too, and you don't have to be subservient to anybody. So it affected me in that way, and also it affected me in a way it's like where you saw. I would say, I don't say life coming to fruition on the screen, but you saw other parts of the world. I mean, you know, like I said, like Enter the Dragon, those martial art films. Those were films and stuff that actually took you someplace else. Let you see other people and the way they lived and different things and stuff like that.
What was the best part of going to this movie theater with only other black people?
I would say the best part of that was that we came together and we had fun together. I don't ever remember any violence or anything when we were there. I don't ever remember, other than, we're being kids and sometimes kids get out of line. I mean, but we had somebody there to put us back in line. And it was just so uplifting to go to a place like that with all of us together and just enjoying ourselves and enjoying the experience of the movies.
Do you feel like that the New Roxy was the only place that you could really do that?
Yes, I do, because I remember going to the Paramount once or twice, and it was just so rigid. It was just like so many rules you had to abide by. No noise making, no running around. And some people might think today, well, you shouldn't go to the movie and be making noise. You shouldn't be running around. But when we went to the New Roxy and we were kids and we went to the afternoon matinee, it was like, okay, they're kids. Let them do this. They're going to settle down shortly and start watching this film. And that's what happened. And we went there. We went there with our friends. They had the best concessions. We did what kids do. And like I said, it was like a little amusement park for us. There was nothing else for us to do. So it was just a way for us to be away from our parents, and we could just like be free. And so if you went to the Paramount, that wasn't going to happen. You had to sit in your seats. You couldn't move unless there was some sort of intermission or something like that. You couldn't make any noises. And the concessions weren't that great.
We had a barbecue on the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Why was it important for you to be there?
Well, I don't get to be with my family a lot. Most of the family that I have still live in Clarksdale, or they live out of the state. And so when you came and my sister decided to have a get together, so I got to see a lot of family members that I don't see on the regular. You know, Clarksdale is only like about, from where I live, 90-minute drive, but when you work 12 hours a day, 4 days a week, 90-minute drive can't be, appear to seem to be a long time. And so, not making excuses, but it was just great to get with them, nieces, nephews, and aunts, uncles, and cousins and stuff, and to just, be there and talk about old times and talk about things that your parents used to do, your grandparents used to do, and it just brought back a lot of good memories.
What makes you the most important member of the family?
Oh, I wouldn't think that I was the most important member of the family, but I just try to encourage people, especially young folks. I mean, I try to encourage them to be better, to do better. I hope that they can come and talk to me when they feel that they might need to talk to someone other than the immediate family. And besides, I think I'm a lot of fun as an uncle. So.
All right. Describe your family growing up.
Oh, well, I guess I'll start with my mom. My mom was a loving mom. Everybody says that they had the best mom in the world, but I truly believe I had the best mom in the world. I mean, it was nothing that she wouldn't do for me. I think about her every day. She was just an extraordinary person and a very loving person. And my dad was a great provider. I mean, we grew up poor, but when people say, people say a lot of times, well, I never knew I was poor, but truly, I felt I lived a sheltered existence, but it was all done out of love. I had two very good, loving parents. And my brothers, I got 6 brothers and sisters, and I'm the baby in the family, and pretty much was treated like that. I mean, I had good brothers and sisters, and we loved each other.
Tell me your favorite story about Clarksdale.
My Favorite story about Clarksdale? I guess when I think about Clarksdale, my favorite story is about um, the blues singer that died here,
Bessie Smith?
Betty Smith. Yeah, and she wasn't. I, I mean, how could that be like my best memory? But I don't know. You live in Clarksdale. I mean, it might be your only memory. That's a memory about Clarksdale itself. I mean, it's a tragic story. I mean, she couldn't get the help that she needed at the hospital that serviced white people, and because she didn't get service there immediately, and they took her to the black hospital, and she succumbed to her injuries or illnesses, and she died. And I didn't know for a long time the street that I was born on and grew up on was just one street over from where the black hospital was and where she died. And when I did find out, it was like a memory that just constantly sticks in my mind, that when you live only a block away, you don't really know the history about the place that you live, because people keep histories like that hidden. And when I think of Clarksdale, a lot of times, that might be a sad thought, but that's what I think about.
When you were growing up, what was your favorite thing to do in Clarksdale?
When I was growing up, riding my bicycle. My mom bought me a bike when I was about 5 years old. It was a red bicycle. And she bought it from this used bicycle shop. And I can remember her taking me there. And I remember riding that bicycle forever. And then I remember whenever it would like break or fall apart or bearings would fall out of it, she would take it back and get it repaired again. Until she couldn't get it repaired anymore, until it was just no good, no fixing anymore. And I remember her buying me another bicycle after that, and then another. And riding my bicycle was a lot of fun. I guess that's why I ride bicycles today.
The house on Paul Edwards Avenue was a big part of our lives. I remember climbing that magnolia tree out front. Tell us why that place was a part of your life.
It was a part of my life because I'm just going to tell you about Paul Edwards Avenue. Back when I was growing up, it had a lot of professionals that lived on that street. Actually, one of the homes that we lived in, actually that you grew up in, the owner of the home, she was the principal at Booker T. Washington Elementary School. And the way it goes is that she taught piano lessons to Ike Turner for a while. And so we had teachers on that street, funeral home, not directors, but owners. We had a lot of people that were affluent black people that lived on that street. They were professionals and stuff. And the street was lined with trees. And you could run and play all day. It's just like your mom said, you had to be in by sundown or the street lights go off. But we didn't worry about a lot of things that kids worry about today, and a lot of things that parents worry about today. The street was just a lot of fun to grow up on.
What happened to the home that we lived in?
The home that we lived in, I really don't know. I left there, and your brothers, they were grown, so I left them there. And then afterwards, after they left, I kind of like boarded it up, and it wasn't my home. It was the home to Mrs. Nichols, her sister, and I think that they just stopped maintaining the home, and later on it came into disrepair, and then it was razed.
We visited a few spots on this trip.
Mm-hmm.
We visited Issaquah Avenue.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that for you growing up.
That was the same street that the new Roxy was on, and it was a street that was full of businesses. Men's shops, women's shops, hat shops, sundries. They call them sundries. That's where you can go and buy. I compare a sundry to like a Walgreens or something today, and they had cafes there. They had a couple of juke joints on this street. They had a grocery store there. They had an old Kroger's that was on the corner of Essequina and 4th Street, I believe it was. And so it was a street that had tons of businesses and tons of black-owned businesses on that street.
And what about Yazoo Avenue?
Oh, Yazoo. I don't have a lot of memories. That was more like a residential area. It was just another residential street and had a lot of homes and some friends that I knew that lived over on that side.
And the Sunflower Bridge.
Oh, the Sunflower Bridge. I had to cross that bridge every day to go to the junior high and high school. And it's been redone. But the bridge that we had, the bridge that I remember when I was growing up, I don't even think it had like a sidewalk on it. So if it did, it was like walking close to the road and stuff. But it's the bridge that I had to cross every day. It like separated, like black part of town from white part of town. Exactly, that's what it did.
He spoke with A. and Roxy.
Uh-huh.
His father built the Roxy and the new Roxy.
Okay.
And he tells me there were 7 screens in Clarksdale at one time.
Uh-huh.
The Tyson, which later became the Showcase, the Paramount, and the Delta.
Mm-hmm.
The Paramount and the Delta were owned by a segregationist.
Mm.
And we saw the Paramount's back stairs
that
black people had to go through.
Yeah.
And then there was the Harlem, the Savoy, the Roxy, and the new Roxy, which catered to blacks. What can you tell me about any of those theaters?
I can only speak about
Hold on 1 second. Quentin?
Yep.
We need to switch.
Yep.
So this time I didn't let it go. I mean, this time I stopped it at like 6:55.
Yeah.
And then restarted it, and it got through like 2 minutes before.
Yeah. I think we know that my camera is the weaker of the two, but yours feels like it's cooled down a bit, so I think you should be.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
Okay. That theater, what was it? You said, go through those theaters again.
Okay. The Tyson, which became the Showcase.
Okay. All right. That's it. Okay. Showcase.
Excuse me. That's the one on Yazoo.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Showcase. Okay. But you said the Paramount and what else was owned by a segregationist?
Mm-hmm. The Delta.
Hmm.
The Tyson, which became the Showcase, and the Paramount.
Oh.
That's what he said. No, the Paramount and the Delta.
Okay.
I don't really remember the Delta.
No. I remember the Showcase.
Mm-hmm. I've spoken with A. and Roxy. His father built the Roxy and the new Roxy. He tells me at one time there were 7 theaters in Clarksdale. The Paramount, the Tyson, which became the Showcase, and the Delta. The Paramount and the Delta were owned by a segregationist. Then there was the Harlem, the Savoy, the Roxy, and the New Roxy, which catered to black people. What can you tell me about any of those theaters?
Well, being as young as I was, I can only tell you about just two, and that was the Paramount, not three, the New Roxy, the Showcase, and the Paramount. And that's new news to me about the Paramount being and the Delta being owned by segregationists. Yeah, so the Paramount and the Delta being owned by segregationists, that's new news to me. I really, what I'm gonna say is wouldn't expect less, because when you went to the Paramount, you weren't welcome. You didn't feel being welcome. And even when I went in the 70s, we still had to enter through the back of the theater and go up through the balcony. The New Roxy, I went to the New Roxy almost up until the time that I left Clarksdale going into the Army. I think it was still, and I went to the Army like in 78. It might have still been open then, or maybe not. I'm not sure. But I know that after it closed, and when I would come back and visit, I would go to the Showcase, because the New Roxy was closed at the time and the Showcase was open. And the Showcase had, it had a really pretty lobby, but it's like a staircase. But the New Roxy was always my favorite theater to go to. I was sad when I found out that it was closed.
Why was it your favorite theater?
It was my favorite theater because it was the best theater. I mean, it was absolutely the best theater. They played the best movies. They played whatever was playing nationally, it played at the New Roxy. And it wasn't like it was a long time before it started playing there. And they would always have the movie posters out. They always changed the movie posters. They always changed what was being played. You always knew what was going to play that Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. They had the best things. They had Westerns. They had, like I said, they had Westerns. They had dramas. They had horror. They had everything. They had comedies. There was this one movie that they played one time, and they had eclectic movies. There was this movie called Lemonade Joe. I've tried to find that movie forever, can't find it. The crazy thing about it was like this kind of like Western, but it was filmed with a totally yellow screen. There was no color. It was just yellow. And that's why they called it Lemonade Joe. Now, don't ask me what was it about. All I remember was a guy on a horseback. That's all I remember. But that's kind of like the stuff that they would play. You know, it wasn't, you would think that being a black movie that, they just showed black movies. No. You know, it was white movies and black exploitation movies, and anything that you wanted to see, you can find it there.
Help me understand segregation. What is that exactly?
To me, segregation is this might sound strange to you, but to me, this is segregation. I remember my mom, you know, when they would buy cars, they would buy used cars, and they wouldn't last forever. They maybe last a year or two, whatever. But whenever we would drive down Highway 61, I can remember someone's, if we were driving, and we came along a white person driving in a car, and I remember somebody saying in the car, "Don't pass that white man. Don't pass him." I'm thinking, why? Why not pass him? He's doing less than the speed limit. Why can't we go around and pass him? But that, to me, is segregation. I mean, you know, why should we be afraid to pass this guy? We got a car. We got license. At least they had license. The car's license. If we want to pass this guy on the highway, why not? Walking on the other side of the street, you know. I can remember that. I can remember walking down the street with my mom, and my mom stepping to the side of the street so somebody white could go past them. You know, me being segregationist is when the schools were integrated, white kids going to the private school, Lee Academy, teachers that they brought to our school that weren't black, that were white, when we integrated to Oakhurst and stuff like that, them treating us differently, that's segregation.
How did it affect your social life?
It didn't affect my social life much at all anyhow. I mean, I was always just with black people. So, black friends. So.
That's an effect.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like you didn't reach out. It wasn't like when you was at school, you didn't have white friends at school, but you didn't socialize out of school with them. You know what I'm saying? You could be, I had close friends in school that were white, but we never socialized outside of school. Yeah.
Your community and your friends, your group of friends, though, outside of school.
Yeah.
All black.
Yeah.
And tell me about that experience.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. I mean, I had a friend who had a car. I couldn't afford a car. And when his dad bought him a car, it was like, okay, this is our car. So we shared the car. He would come pick me up, and we would go places and stuff. And we just went. We did our parties together. We went to parties. Somebody had a party. Everybody knew where the party was going to be. You got invited, and that's who you hung out with.
We met just by accident. Jesse Harris, who says he's a friend of yours,
right,
from high school.
Yeah.
And he told me a story about you being in the band and trying out for first or second chair.
Yeah.
And
okay.
you were very poor at it.
What? I don't know where Jesse Harris got that from. I was very good at. I was very good. I don't even remember what instrument. Oh, he played the trumpet. That's what he played. I don't think he was very good, but I was very good.
What did you play?
I played the saxophone, and I got first chair often. I think he got me mixed up with somebody else.
You were in the band and football.
Yeah, yeah, it was like, so, in the fall, summer, and going into fall for football season, I was in the band, but we were allowed, I went to band practice and all that stuff. But after school, I went to football practice. So I didn't practice with the band. We practiced with the band like during school, like fifth hour or something like that. But after school, I would go and do football. And then when football season was over with, I was totally with the band, like the concert band and stuff. Yeah, it was cool.
What was the best time to go to the movies?
Sunday afternoon after church. Yep, that was the best time.
Why Sunday afternoons after church?
'Cause you were ready to get out of church. In black churches, they don't get out until after 1 o'clock. So you were just happy to get out of church. You ran back home, got out of your church clothes, met your friends, and went straight up to the new Roxy. So, and then Saturdays, you had stuff to do on Saturdays. You wouldn't really go to the movies on a Saturday. And then Sunday, that's like the last day before you have to go back to school. So you just really use Sunday as just the last gasp of getting a weekend fun. Yeah.
What was the style of dress that you wore if you were changing out of your clothes?
Well, that back in the day, there was like this style of wearing a silk t-shirt, but it really wasn't silk. It was less rayon. So you would have that on with a pair of slacks, overdose with cologne, and you're trying to meet girls and stuff. So you would try to dress with whatever the best way you could and go up there, because you really, that's like when you got to be preteen, and you're just going to the movies then to just try to hook up with girls and stuff, you know.
What made going to the movies special?
I was just escapism. That's just exactly what it was. It was you were being able to escape from whatever pressures that you had for the week and stuff, and that's exactly what it was. And it was a good form of escapism. That's why I watch so many movies today. You know, I have tons of DVDs, Blu-ray discs, and but I don't buy as many as I used to. And I think the new Roxy is an influence of that. I always like to watch movies, but we do a lot of streaming now, and that's just a way to escape.
What made your experience at the movies pro-black?
What made my experience pro-black? Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't help but being pro-black when you see as much black exploitation as I saw growing up. I mean, I saw it all. I mean, it was like you wanted to go to New York City because Fred Williamson played in Three the Hard Way. Him, Jim Brown, and I keep forgetting that guy's name. But his last name was Jones, the karate guy. I keep forgetting his name. I just thought of it a minute ago. But you couldn't help but being black. Go and see him Black Caesar with Fred Williamson in it. Shaft, Shaft Goes to Africa. You couldn't help but being pro-black. You couldn't help but seeing Pam Grier kick butt. You couldn't, Tamara Dobson, she's almost 7 feet tall or something, and she's kicking butt. You couldn't help but being pro-black. You couldn't help but, and yeah, they were action films, and some people might say they didn't have much substance to them, but I think they had a lot of substance to them. I think they were saying to black people, especially young black people, you can do this. And the people that made those movies were like, you can make these movies. Like, all of them weren't made by white producers, or some of them were made by, I remember this one guy named, I can't remember his name, but he made a lot of black movies and stuff. So it's just like saying that you can do this. This is us. You can come. We can make films about ourselves.
What was the best part of going to a movie theater that only had black people in it?
You could be yourself. You didn't have to act like you was somebody else. You didn't have to act as if you didn't have to put on a persona. You didn't have to put on a facade. You could just be yourself there. You knew people. You knew everybody. You could just be yourself.
Okay, Miss Bobby. Everybody's mentioned her. It's your turn. Tell me about Miss Bobby.
I was a very good child when I grew up, so I didn't have a lot of interactions with Miss Bobby. But the kids that did have interaction with Miss Bobby, she would put them in line. I mean, what I remember about her is her paddle. And if you got out of line, you got that paddle. And so I made sure I didn't get out of line because I didn't want that paddle. And then she knew my dad, so I didn't want to go back telling my parents anyhow because my dad worked there. So if I got out of line, he definitely was going to know.
Okay, 2 more questions. When was the last time you went to the movie theater?
We have great movie theaters, by the way, in Memphis, Tennessee. I think we got some of the best movie theaters in the country. Malco Theater has wonderful theaters here. But the last time I went, what did I see last? I don't remember. But it was only back about a week or 2 ago. But I don't remember. It must not have been a pretty good movie, huh?
You don't remember what you saw?
I don't remember what I saw.
Okay.
But I'm planning on going to the movies here, hopefully, in a few days to go see the new Spider-Man. And that's about it, I guess.
All right, that's a wrap. Thank you.
All right.
Daryl,
Uh-huh.
I got a question. but I don't know if you're interested in.
I'm recording now then.
Okay. I think it's really interesting everything that I've heard from everybody that even though the new Roxy was the segregated theaters, the theater that you're kind of forced into in a way, right? But it's the one that everybody still just enjoyed the best because the entertainment was the best. And what you just said was you had the freedom to be yourself,
Yeah.
right? And so, to me, like, is there something interesting to explore in was something lost through when we desegregated businesses and we lost that black-centric space?
Yeah.
You know.
Do you have an answer to that you could give us?
Yeah, I think there was and is a loss with the desegregation of theaters. I'm not saying that's not a good thing. Yeah, you should be able to go to whatever theater you want to go to, and you should be able to have fun when you go there, and you should be able to enjoy yourself. But with the with a lot of things that I think personally, this is just my personal thoughts on desegregation on a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff that black people were doing for themselves and on their own that they just stopped doing. And I think there's a lot of community that was lost. I mean, when the new Roxy left, when the new Roxy died, Essequina started to die. That's just my personal opinion. And because that was the central gathering place for everybody in Clarksdale, Mississippi that was black. And when it died, I can say that when the new Roxy died, Clarksdale started to die. That's just my personal opinion. And you lose a lot. There's a lot of things, you had black-owned businesses and stuff. And now you look at America, and there's not a lot of black-owned businesses. There's a lot of minority-owned businesses, but there's not a lot of black-owned businesses. And I think that desegregation had a lot to do with that. I truly believe that if we were, and I'm not, like I said, I think that segregation is a bad thing, can be a bad thing, but when I see other minorities and communities where they stick together and where they help each other and they help grow their businesses and they help each other, I think that's something that black people lost. Because I think we were doing that back in the 60s and before. And I think after integration, we lost that. And I think that we lost, look at blaxploitation movies. I think that if blaxploitation movies continued, we would have just not movies like that, but we would have different movies with different aspects of black life. So yeah, in kind of a way, I think that, yeah, it was kind of hurtful to the black movie industry, which I think is having a resurgence now, though, at least with black actors. Like they just, the other day, decided to cast this young black woman, I don't know her name, as Ariel in the new Walt Disney movie. So, and then reading that that a lot of people are giving her backlash from being the first black person to be portrayed as a Disney character, not as a live action Disney character. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.